What if I told you that behind the headlines, secret files exist? Documents so explosive they reveal Edgar Lungu's hidden influence long after he left office. What unfinished business did he leave behind? And why is it only coming to light now? Tonight, we open the secret files, uncovering the power, the silence of Esther Lungu, and the global forces watching Zambia's every move. Stay with us, the truth is far more dangerous than you've been told. In this breaking report, we uncover the secret files on former President Edgar Lungu that raise shocking questions about his unfinished business, hidden influence, and family controversies. From Esther Lungu's silence to Zambia's current political struggles under President Hakainde Hichilema, HH, the revelations could change how we see Zambia's past and future. Why now? Why these files? And what does it mean for Zambia, Africa, and the world? Watch the full documentary-style analysis and decide for yourself. The shocking secret files. In the heart of Lusaka, a dusty dossier labeled "Confidential" sits in a locked cabinet, its pages whispering secrets about a man who once held Zambia's fate in his hands. These are the secret files of Edgar Chagwa Lungu, Zambia's 6th president, whose death in June 2025 has unleashed a storm of revelations, rivalries, and unresolved mysteries. What did Lungu hide during his presidency? Why does his legacy still haunt Zambia's political landscape? And what do these files mean for a nation teetering on the edge of division? Edgar Lungu's death at 68 in a South African hospital was meant to close a chapter in Zambia's history. Instead, it ripped open a Pandora's box of intrigue. The secret files, referenced in your prompt, potentially tied to allegations of corruption, political vendettas, and unfinished governance agendas, have ignited a firestorm. From his family's bitter feud with President Hakainde Hichilema's government to whispers of occult conspiracies, the saga of Lungu's legacy is far from over. This narrative will unravel the hidden power Lungu wielded, the unresolved business that lingers, and the global spotlight now shining on Zambia. Buckle up for a journey through a web of power, betrayal, and secrets that could reshape how the world sees this African nation. Edgar Lungu's hidden power explained. Picture a man who rose from humble beginnings in Dola to command Zambia's highest office, only to be accused of amassing wealth through shadowy deals. Was Edgar Lungu a patriot who built roads and dreams, or a master manipulator pulling strings from behind the throne? The secret files hold the key. The rise to power. Edgar Chagwa Lungu, born November 11, 1956, at Ndola Central Hospital, was no stranger to struggle. After earning a law degree from the University of Zambia in 1981, he practiced law, served in the military, and entered politics, joining the Patriotic Front, PF, in 2001. His ascent to the presidency in 2015, following the death of President Michael Sata, was marked by a narrow victory over Hakainde Hichilema in a by-election. Lungu's presidency, 2015 to 2021, was a paradox. A road-building boom earned him praise, but mounting debt and allegations of authoritarianism cast a long shadow. The secret files. Allegations of corruption. The secret files likely refer to documents like the 2019 memo from the Zambian Financial Intelligence Center, ZFIC, which alleged that Lungu accumulated wealth through corrupt activities. The memo, sent to Eswatini's Financial Intelligence Unit in December 2021, after Lungu's electoral defeat, claimed he benefited from bribes, including a plot of land at a luxury golf estate in Eswatini, purchased by construction magnate Michelo Shikantu. Why was the memo drafted in 2019 but only sent after Lungu lost power? This delay raises questions about political motivations, suggesting the files may have been weaponized by Hichilema's administration to tarnish Lungu's legacy. Hidden power dynamics. Lungu's hidden power lay not just in wealth but in his enduring influence over the PF and Zambian politics. Even after losing the 2021 election, he remained a political heavyweight, rallying supporters and threatening a comeback until the Constitutional Court barred him from running again in 2024. His ability to mobilize the PF and maintain loyalty despite corruption scandals hints at a deeper network of patronage. The files may reveal connections to powerful figures like Shikantu, whose company allegedly offered bribes for contracts, pointing to a web of influence that extended beyond Zambia's borders. Critical analysis. The establishment narrative paints Lungu as a corrupt leader whose mismanagement left Zambia as Africa's most indebted nation by 2021. Yet, the timing of the ZFIC memo's release suggests selective prosecution under Hichilema, who himself faced treason charges under Lungu in 2017. Were the files a genuine exposé or a political hit job? The truth likely lies in a gray area. Lungu's administration did oversee economic decline, but the files' delayed release undermines their credibility, hinting at a vendetta. This duality, Lungu as both a flawed leader and a targeted figure, fuels the intrigue surrounding his hidden power. The unfinished business that haunts Zambia. Hook, Zambia's roads gleam with Lungu's legacy, but beneath the asphalt lies a nation grappling with debt, division, and a funeral feud that refuses to die. What unfinished business did Lungu leave behind? And why does it still haunt the corridors of power? Economic legacy and debt crisis. Lungu's presidency was defined by ambitious infrastructure projects, particularly road construction, which won him grassroots support. However, his administration's borrowing spree left Zambia deeply in debt, earning it the dubious title of Africa's most indebted nation by 2021. The secret files allege that contracts, like those awarded to Shikantu's Inyatsi road construction, were tainted by bribes, raising questions about whether Lungu's projects were driven by public interest or personal gain. This economic mismanagement remains unfinished business, as Zambia struggles to recover under Hichilema's reforms. Political divisions. Lungu's rivalry with Hichilema, rooted in the 2017 treason charges against the latter, sowed seeds of division that persist. The PF, under Lungu's influence, remains a potent opposition force, clashing with Hichilema's United Party for National Development, UPND. Lungu's Plan B, a rumored scheme to destabilize Hichilema's government, hinted at his intent to remain a political player, even in exile-like conditions in South Africa. His death left the PF fragmented, with no clear successor to carry his torch, yet the party's defiance in the funeral dispute shows Lungu's lingering grip. The funeral standoff. The most visible unfinished business is the ongoing feud over Lungu's burial. His family's insistence on a private funeral in South Africa, against the government's push for a state funeral in Zambia, reflects unresolved tensions. Lungu's dying wish, that Hichilema not attend his funeral, stems from their bitter history, including Hichilema's 100-day detention in 2017. The government's legal victory in a South African court to repatriate Lungu's body has been met with appeals, delaying closure and fueling public fatigue. This standoff, laced with accusations of witchcraft, underscores Zambia's fractured political landscape. Critical analysis. Lungu's unfinished business is a microcosm of Zambia's challenges: economic recovery, political reconciliation, and cultural respect for the dead. The government's insistence on a state funeral, citing national interest, clashes with the family's right to honor Lungu's wishes. Historian Sishiwa argues that Hichilema's failure to respect the family's stance exacerbates divisions and feeds conspiracy theories, such as claims of occult motives. The economic debt and political rancor Lungu left behind continue to shape Zambia's trajectory, making closure elusive. Esther Lungu's silence and family controversies. In the eye of Zambia's political storm stands Esther Lungu, a widow cloaked in silence, yet surrounded by whispers of corruption and defiance. What secrets does she hold, and why is her family at the heart of Zambia's latest crisis? Esther Lungu's role. Esther Lungu, married to Edgar since 1986, has been a quiet but pivotal figure. Since her husband's death, she has remained largely silent, letting family spokesperson Makibi Zulu speak on her behalf. Her grief, captured in images from a Johannesburg cathedral, is palpable, yet her silence fuels speculation. Is she shielding family secrets, or is she simply mourning a husband whose legacy is under siege? Corruption charges. Esther and her daughter Tassila face corruption charges, accused of owning properties worth over $2 million, including 15 apartments in Lusaka, deemed proceeds of crime. The Drug Enforcement Commission, DEC, claims Esther cannot explain how she acquired these assets, while Tassila and another daughter, Chieso, face similar allegations. The family denies the charges, calling them politically motivated. These accusations, tied to the secret files, paint the Lungus as a dynasty embroiled in scandal, yet their defiance suggests they believe they're being persecuted. The funeral dispute. Esther's central role in the funeral standoff has drawn scrutiny. The family's refusal to repatriate Lungu's body, citing his wish to exclude Hichilema, has been led by Esther and her children. Their decision to pursue a private burial in South Africa, halted by a court order, has sparked accusations of selfishness and even witchcraft. Critics argue the family is using Lungu's death for political leverage, while supporters see them as defending his dignity against a vindictive government. Critical analysis. Esther's silence is a double-edged sword, It preserves her dignity but invites speculation about her complicity in alleged corruption. The charges against her and her daughters, while serious, lack public evidence beyond the DEC's claims, raising doubts about their validity. The funeral dispute, however, is less about Esther's silence and more about the family's resolve to honor Lungu's wishes. Their legal battles in South Africa, supported by Makibi Zulu's fiery rhetoric, suggest a family under siege but unwilling to yield. The controversies surrounding them highlight a broader struggle. Can a former First Family reclaim their narrative in the face of state power? HH's government under pressure. Hakainde Hichilema, once jailed by his rival, now holds Zambia's reins, but the ghost of Edgar Lungu looms large. As secret files and a funeral feud threaten his government's legitimacy, can HH navigate the storm? Hichilema's rise and rivalry. Hakainde Hichilema, known as HH, won a landslide victory over Lungu in 2021, capitalizing on economic discontent and promises to curb corruption. His 100-day detention in 2017 under Lungu's regime, on trumped-up treason charges, cemented their rivalry. Now, as president, HH faces accusations of mirroring Lungu's authoritarian tactics, including restricting the ex-president's movements and targeting his family with corruption charges. The funeral controversy. HH's government has pushed for a state funeral, arguing that Lungu, as a former president, belongs to the nation. This stance, backed by a South African court ruling, has been criticized as insensitive. The government's legal maneuvers to repatriate Lungu's body, coupled with statements suggesting the family could be excluded from the burial, have fueled perceptions of vindictiveness. Sishiwa warns that HH's failure to respect the family's wishes deepens divisions and stokes conspiracy theories, such as claims of occult motives. Political and economic pressure. The secret files, particularly the ZFIC memo, have put HH under scrutiny. By targeting Lungu's legacy, his administration risks alienating PF supporters, who see the charges as politically motivated. Meanwhile, Zambia's economic recovery remains fragile, with HH's reforms struggling to undo Lungu's debt legacy. The funeral saga distracts from these challenges, drawing global attention to Zambia's political dysfunction. Critical analysis. HH's government is caught in a delicate balancing act, honoring a former president while asserting control over a divisive legacy. The push for a state funeral aligns with precedent. Zambia's other presidents are buried at a designated site in Lusaka, but disregards cultural sensitivities around family rights. The corruption charges against the Lungus, while potentially valid, appear timed to weaken the PF, raising questions about judicial independence. HH's handling of the crisis will define his presidency, testing his ability to unite a polarized nation. Zambia's global spotlight, Africa and beyond. Once a quiet player in African politics, Zambia now commands the world's attention. From secret files to a funeral feud, how did a landlocked nation become a global case study in power and legacy? Zambia's regional influence. Zambia, a stable democracy since independence in 1964, has long been a model for peaceful transitions in Africa. Lungu's presidency, however, strained this reputation, with economic woes and authoritarianism drawing criticism. The secret files, implicating Lungu in cross-border corruption with Eswatini, highlight Zambia's ties to regional financial networks. The funeral dispute, played out in South African courts, has further elevated Zambia's profile, with South Africa's government navigating a diplomatic tightrope. Global media attention. The Lungu saga has captured international headlines, from the BBC to the New York Times. The narrative of a former president's body becoming a political battleground, coupled with allegations of corruption and witchcraft, is catnip for global audiences. Zambia's struggle mirrors broader African debates about state versus family rights, as seen in burial disputes over leaders like Zimbabwe's Robert Mugabe. The secret files, if substantiated, could also draw scrutiny from international anti-corruption bodies, putting Zambia under a microscope. Critical analysis. Zambia's global spotlight is a double-edged sword. The funeral feud and secret files expose internal divisions, risking Zambia's reputation as a stable democracy. Yet, they also offer an opportunity for HH to showcase leadership by resolving the crisis diplomatically. The international community, particularly South Africa, plays a pivotal role, with Pretoria's courts and diplomats mediating a uniquely African drama. Zambia's story is a cautionary tale of how personal rivalries and unresolved legacies can ripple across borders. Final analysis and shocking takeaways. As the dust settles on Zambia's most divisive chapter, the secret files and funeral feud reveal truths that no one expected. What do they tell us about power, loyalty, and the fight for a nation's soul? Key takeaways. The power of secrets. The secret files, particularly the ZFIC memo, expose the murky intersection of politics and wealth in Zambia. Whether Lungu was a corrupt leader or a victim of political targeting, the files underscore the need for transparency in governance. A divided nation. The funeral dispute, rooted in Lungu's rivalry with HH, reveals Zambia's deep political and cultural divides. The government's insistence on a state funeral versus the family's private burial reflects a broader struggle over who controls a leader's legacy. Family under fire. Esther Lungu and her children face corruption charges that may be legitimate or politically motivated. Their defiance, led by Makibi Zulu, shows a family fighting to protect their patriarch's dignity, even at the cost of public backlash. HH's test. Hichilema's handling of the crisis will define his presidency. Respecting the Lungu family's wishes while asserting national interest could bridge divides, but heavy-handed tactics risk further polarization. Global implications. Zambia's saga highlights universal themes: the clash between state and family, the legacy of corruption, and the cultural weight of death. It positions Zambia as a case study for African governance. Critical reflection. The Lungu saga is not just about secret files or a funeral. It's about a nation grappling with its past and future. The files, while damning, lack conclusive evidence, suggesting a political agenda. The funeral dispute, while emotionally charged, risks overshadowing Zambia's economic and social challenges. HH's government must tread carefully, balancing justice with reconciliation, while the Lungu family's defiance underscores the human cost of political vendettas. Zambia's story is a reminder that even in death, power struggles endure.